Well, you know, we're getting into winter, and I'm here with Terrell Collier from Collier Arbor Care. And Terrell, you know, I think a lot of us think that if we have an evergreen, you know, a conifer, that's never going to drop any leaves, but something does happen every year with them.
Absolutely, and so this is kind of the time of the year that people look at their evergreen trees and they go, oh my gosh, look at all the brown foliage that's occurring in there. And so they're afraid that there's something, you know, going wrong with their trees. But all these brown needles that you see here is a natural foliage drop on evergreens, and that we see usually in the late summer, early fall. And an evergreen tree cannot keep its foliage forever. And so after it gets about 3 years old, it will shed. So it sheds just like a deciduous tree. So it's not evergreen forever, they have to shed that older foliage.
And you know, you have great information pamphlets here, and one of them was saying that it's because it sends out new growth, and eventually as it gets bigger, of course it's going to get shadier in the tree. So it makes sense that the interior stuff would start to die out.
Absolutely. So if we look at this branch right over here, we have, this is this year's growth, we have 2 years growth, and then
there you go.
On the inside, the 3-year-old growth is the stuff that is turning brown and falling off. It's being shed. And what's happening is that it pulls the nutrients out of that older foliage and puts it into the new growth.
Completely logical. That makes perfect sense. Now, there are some things, though, that happen to conifers that aren't this, but kind of look similar, and you have some cedars that we're going to look at to see that difference.
So we're going to look at these cedars that have a branch canker disease. And so the key differences here is that when you look at the tips of these, the tips of an evergreen, if it's still green, and you look on the interior, that's a natural foliage drop. If you see the whole branch dying, then that's bad news.
Well, let's run over there and get a visual, shall we?
Sounds great.
Now, Terrell, we are out in front of some trees that have this Ceridium canker, and tell us a little bit about it and what we can do to make sure that's what it is.
Okay, well, this is a fungal canker disease, and you can see that it's different than the natural foliage drop because you'll see these branches have a scattered look, and then the whole branch dies. Okay, so that's different than the other one where the tips are still alive. So this is a problem where the other one is natural and normal. This is a disease-causing organism.
And some other telltale signs that we could look for.
Well, if you look at the kind of the base of the affected branch, you can see these little tiny resin droplets. And then if we carefully cut into them, we'll notice a brown discoloration. And basically, instead of seeing nice white sapwood, it's all brown underneath.
Now that looks dead.
It is totally dead right now.
Well, you know, there's always so many things that can happen to your trees in your garden. And this is a great time of year too, Terrell, to actually be looking at your trees. And you have a great pamphlet that talks about that.
Yes. So we get a lot of calls in the fall about maybe normal stuff that's natural, like the foliage drop, but then this is also the time to look at your trees before they go into winter, before the winter storm hits. So we have the 8 signs of a hazard tree, 8 warning signs of hazardous trees that you can do an assessment and see whether you have any of these warning signs.
And you can get this online as well at your website.
You can get that on our website.
Now, you know, I think that the interesting thing is we all worry about flowers so much, but really the trees give us the structure of our gardens. And even once a year, just to take the time to look at them can only do yourself a great service.
That's right. And well, being a tree guy, I'm going to highly recommend that.
It's so true. Now, listen, don't forget, sure, you can find out almost any disease and how to maintain it, and they'll come out and help you. But you'll just cut down a dead tree too, won't you?
Oh, sure, yeah. We'd much rather take care of live trees. So we're experts at diagnosing what your tree problems are. And then if it needs removal because it's dead, we can do that as well.
Wonderful. Well, for more information, you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to their website. Terrell, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, William.